Well, good day, everybody. It's James here with ProPics Canada Media Limited, and I just want to talk to you about a show that we have in development called Behind the Blue. Essentially, the program not only looks at the day to day tasks and jobs of law enforcement, both nationwide and internationally, but also looks at a lot of the issues that are plaguing the communities and police departments around the world at this time. One of the things that we have to look at is ways to increase officer safety and to support them not only in their jobs, but behind the badge as well. When they're at home, a lot of officers suffer from PTSD. There is a high instance of substance use and abuse by some officers in some departments. And that has a lot to do with self medicating, not being able to feel comfortable reaching out to ask for help with the PTSD, with the depression, with so many things that come with the job. And that is definitely getting better for officers, but there's still a long way to go to make sure that they and their families have those supports in place to help them through it. Another part of it is the ongoing animosity and attitudes towards law enforcement. Now, of course, we see a lot of defund the police movements going on, but I think that what's really getting confused here is that people are frustrated. They want police to be held accountable for their actions when they contradict the code of ethics, the criminal laws, and human rights laws. So what they're looking at is a demand to actually hold officers accountable when they are not acting in the best interest of the public, which actually accounts for very few officers in comparison to the numbers of officers out there. But unfortunately, the people that are being judged are all officers wearing the badge, because what people are feeding into is the idea that all officers are bad from what they see on social media and on the news. And they're not hearing enough about the officers that are doing great things in the communities, how they belong to the community as members of a community. When they take that uniform off, they are members of our communities that want a safe and comfortable place for their families to thrive. They don't want communities that are based on anger and attitudes of hatred towards officers or anyone else in the community. You also have to keep in mind that not only are they a part of our community, they are people that give back to the community. When they're not in uniform, they're still out there volunteering in communities with sports groups and community service programs. They're giving blood so people can get transfusions. They are a part of our communities, and that is getting overlooked, that people just don't see them as humans. They've dehumanized police officers, and I think that really plays into the attitudes towards police, is that people are not seeing them as their neighbor, as the parent of one of the other kids in their child's school or daycare. The families of police officers who are on your child's soccer team playing football, and the kids don't care what their parents do for work. They are very unbiased that way, and that's something that we could all learn from. And I think that's a big part of the show, which we have in development, and we're looking at this point to raise the funds to produce the pilot episode. Once that's done, we can present it to all of the networks and the video on demand services and subscription on demand services, and get funding for the ongoing production if they like the program and see the value that we do in it. And so that's a big part right now, is raising the funds to get the pilot program all produced and distributed out there, so we can really get this program going, to not only see the officers working but behind the badge and get to know them, and how they impact our communities outside of their job as well as their families. And of course, there will be times where in episodes that we foresee that we will speak with the families and have to, protect the identities of children and such, because we don't want them to suffer any blowback from their parents being, police officers and that in the community. So, of course, safety of the officers and their families is of utmost paramount importance. But at the same time, we also feel that it's very essential that we start to humanize police officers as valuable members of our community and not just the people in the uniform. I think that it also is very essential that we look not only in Canada and the United States to law enforcement, but also around the world. I think that there are probably a lot of programs for police officers and their families that are happening internationally that maybe could be instituted in Canada, in the United States, or elsewhere throughout the world that can help to give the supports that officers need and that our communities can benefit from overall. Another thing that people tend not to realize is that, of course, police officers are not just protecting our communities, but they're also protecting our borders, our embassies, working with international law enforcement agencies to protect world peace and prevent terrorism attacks, prevent violence, drug importation, especially of fentanyl and other very dangerous things that are going on. So it's essential that we take a look at that. And if we were to defund the police, then that's going to have the opposite effect of what people want in terms of community safety. More well-trained officers, more supports for officers so they are not working so much overtime and getting stressed and burned out. Just a lot of ways that we could be doing better, and we need to do better. So check out the website and get involved.